Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, and welcome to another Nerd Nation stream podcast, whatever you want to call it. Today we are talking Undertaker Last Ride Part 3. And I have my usual motley crew of friends and colleagues. We have the host, sorry, I'm the host with the most, but we have the tech guy himself, the guy in the chair, Roberto, Cousin Cheeto. Say hello, my friend.
I'm
He's
more
just
like
waving.
the guy on the couch right now. I mean,
Yeah. We have the prospect young recruit, the young one himself, Jericho.
whose
That's
parentage
me.
is unknown.
Yeah,
And
unknown.
we
Absolutely unknown.
and one of the best encyclopedias of wrestling I know of, and that's D Jose.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Now we have a interesting topic to talk about. Obviously, it's the Last Ride Part 3. I have taken some notes down. So if you do want to add anything, gentlemen, then please do. As we talk about certain things, if you feel I've missed anything up, I'm going to try and keep it. My notes, what I've written down here, is in line with how the episode panned out. So first of all, this episode began how the last one ended. It began with the defeat of John Cena at WrestleMania and Undertaker coming out, meeting his wife, meeting his kid, meeting the McMahons, giving everyone hugs and all that shit as they've been doing recently. And you find out, I actually thought that Undertaker's daughter was happy that Undertaker beat John Cena, but other people are telling me differently. Am I wrong?
No, she actually wanted John Cena to win, and she fell asleep because he won, which I thought that was hysterical.
Fair enough. Yeah, I did hear about that. And if you guys want to, before I want to leave this Undertaker's kid thing, I want to be very quick with this. Any of you guys want to mention about Undertaker's kid? Do you find her cute at all or anything like that?
Yeah, they were fine. What I was going to say is I think that she didn't fall asleep through the John Cena match because the Cena match was only 3 minutes, and the only ones that she had been awake for were the ones that he lost. I think that was what he was saying.
Fair enough.
But yeah, he said like she was. I think it was Michelle McCool said like the daughter was doing like this, like yay daddy, but boo dad. I don't know.
And you're a dad yourself, Roberto. Any correlation with Undertaker and that kid and you and your kid?
Listen, those little fucking ingrates, they'll just cheer on anyone other than their actual parent. So, fuck kids.
Okay, well, this episode also, when it began, it kind of showed a new lease of life in Undertaker. He had got back into shape. He's got a brand new fucking hip. He had a decent match decent burial of John Cena at WrestleMania. Things are looking great. So he wants to start ticking off a few things. So he has the opportunity to headline SummerSlam at the Garden, Madison Square Garden, for people who don't know. And he does that. And he does that with Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens and some other fuckers. I never actually saw this pay-per-view. Was this a good match, by the way, you guys? Jose?
I have to correct you, dude. It was actually at a house show that they...
Really?
Yep. It was not...
Oh, thank you for correcting me. I'm glad you corrected me because it seemed like it was. So he actually had his final possible match at Madison Square Garden in a fucking house show. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a regular house show. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were talking about the MS.
I'm glad you guys corrected me because as somebody no longer watches wrestling anymore, I needed to be corrected or I would look like a fucking idiot. So do any of you guys want to talk about Undertaker's last match at Madison Square Gardens? I'll start with you, Roberto. Go on, Jose.
I thought that Taker actually looked pretty solid from what they showed. It looked like, he kind of picked up the pace a little bit. Still looked like he had it in him. You could see Taker improving. I thought he actually put in a good effort, and Taker, I think, is really cut out for tag matches, because he has other guys that can help him out. I think that's where he excelled at that time.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Jericho, did you get to see that house show at all?
I did not get to see the house show personally, the match itself, but obviously I saw what they showed in the documentary. And I remember when it happened in real life, it was kind of, I understand MSG is that's Vince's home, that's their home arena if you want to call it that.
That's what they like to say.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the purported history. Yeah, but so I felt it was odd that they're gonna send him out, for a house show, which is kind of weird. But I mean, they sent him to Saudi Arabia and they sent him to Australia, as we'll talk about later. So I mean, yeah.
Before I get to you, Roberto, I'm glad you did mention it was a house show, because when I looked at that match, I thought to myself, Undertaker, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens and some other fuckers. This feels like the main event of Raw, not SummerSlam. You could have added another wrestler or two and made it a Survivor Series match, but not fucking SummerSlam. So I'm glad it was a house show, but someone like Undertaker deserves better. Roberto, do you know anything about this house show at all, or were you kept in the dark?
Nope, absolutely not. I hadn't been watching wrestling in a while, so the dead man was dead to me.
So once again, Undertaker himself is feeling great. He had a decent house show. He's had a moment in the garden. He's ticking off some shit on his list now. How he wants to end his career, I guess. Well, we're guessing, but definitely the garden was something he wanted to do, and he did that. So we're now on to the greatest Royal Rumble, where he fought Rusev. Now this is my problem with the documentary so far, because we got up to this particular stage. And it would have been nice to hear. I know Rusev is fired, but it's not like they haven't shown other ex-WWE guys like Jim Ross and Chris Jericho in the previous episode. So they could have shown Rusev and made it what it would have been like for him to be asked to wrestle the Undertaker and stuff. But we never got that from the WWE, which was a bit disappointing. Were any of you guys a bit disappointed about not hearing from Rusev in the Greatest Royal Rumble? I'll start with you, Roberto. Oh, sorry, go on, Jose. I'll start with you from now on, Jose. Go on.
But yeah,
no problem.
Like, Rusev, he's a charismatic guy. He can talk, and it would have been interesting to hear his thoughts on being able to wrestle the Undertaker, because Rusev is a lifelong wrestling fan. And, as you can imagine, he watched the Undertaker growing up. So it would have been interesting to hear his thoughts and perspective on facing the Undertaker in a casket match.
Jericho?
The only thing I can say about that is, when it happened, when it was reported, because if I'm not mistaken, he was supposed to wrestle someone else for that match, and Rusev was put into it at last minute. Either that, or the match was pulled and then brought back. There was some behind the scenes snafu with that match, and he was excited to have it go on. I do remember that he was posting on Twitter and such like that. I mean, I would have to say the only thing I can think of is that they didn't record anything. And when they were recording this, obviously Rusev would have been under contract. They could have, but I just don't think they recorded anything with Rusev, because they have, it's not. I don't think they're being petty about it. They have Chris Jericho in there. They have Jim Ross in there. I don't think it's something like they want to, whitewash someone from the company. I think it's just that they didn't really think that his perspective was important, and for that, that's a shame.
I'm not so sure, because people like Jericho, he's a standard bearer now. He's legend. Jim Ross is legend. Rusev is still going through his career right now. Chris Jericho could quit wrestling right now, and he would have a ton of different avenues waiting for him. The guy's hosted Robot Wars and all types of shit. He's a very talented individual. I'm not saying Rusev isn't. Rusev is very talented too, but I don't think the avenues are there for him like there are for Chris Jericho. And if anything, WWE would still want to probably capitalize on Chris Jericho, while they don't give a fuck about Rusev. But that's just my opinion. Roberto, you got anything to say on Rusev not being documented enough in this documentary?
Nope, didn't watch Rusev enough. I don't know very much about him. And go to your local fast food place and support them.
Fair enough. Now, for me, this is where the episode started taking a dip, and this is where the WWE isms started coming into play, because instead of getting a warts and all documentary, we went down a trip to memory fucking lane, and we had the matches of HBK and Triple H. Now, we will talk about these matches. I would like to, but for me, out of all four of these matches initially, WrestleMania 25, the first match between HBK and Shawn Michaels, is the greatest match of WrestleMania of all time. This match was fantastic because it was a middle of the show match, and it just stole the fucking show. Whilst the WrestleMania 26 match, I personally didn't like that much, and it kind of felt by the numbers, and I think there was too much expectation on it, which kind of dragged it down. So before we go on to the Triple H matches, 25-26 Those were good WrestleMania matches between Taker and Shawn Michaels. Which match did you prefer? I'll start with you, of course, Jose.
25, easily, without a doubt. It was,
Yeah.
it was heaven versus hell. That was the angle they were going with.
Yeah.
Shawn wanted to be the one. He's like, I can break the Undertaker streak. If anybody can beat him, it's me. And that was the angle they were going with at that time. And, for most people, I think we could all agree for about 20 some odd years up to that point, Savage Steamboat was the match for a lot of us. Savage Steamboat was the standard bearer of WrestleMania matches. Shawn and Taker just completely destroyed it. They delivered on all accounts, the timing, the precision. The spot where Taker basically gave himself a pile driver, which was the scariest thing I ever seen. Man, there's just too much to say about that match. It was awesome. 26, on the other hand, I felt as though it was a good match, but it wasn't great.
It wasn't that good. I don't think it was. I think it had a lot to live up to, and that was the problem with that match. This is the WWE's problem. They go back to the well, and you can't. Sometimes you can't. The well's already been drained the first time, and there's nothing there the second time. And I didn't feel this match. You almost felt it was coming. Okay, HBK is going to retire. It was one of the predictable moments in the WWE. I didn't like it. Jericho, you've seen 25 and 26, I believe. Which of those two Undertaker Shawn Michael matches do you prefer and why? And give me some more explanations.
Oh man, that's not even a question. Yeah, it's 25 without a doubt. And I'm not even saying that with 26 being a bad match. 26 isn't even a bad match. I think Shawn Michaels was worthy of a little bit better of a retirement match, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it had its spots. Obviously, with two men like that, the storytelling is going to be great. It served its purpose. And one thing that I like taking away from the documentary was the insight of him saying, like, look, I'm envious of Michaels due to his ability to walk away and stay away, and that closure. And it was another really enlightening quote that that H had, where he was saying, when you have that good closure, you want one more, and you want one more, and then that's enticing, and it's something that Michael stayed away from. But as we said, I mean, with 25, that spot where Taker dives into the cameraman, like you said, he gives himself a pile driver. I believe that was the one. Did Michaels come down in the white outfit with 25 or 20 or 26?
Yeah, it was white.
25.
Yeah, he came from like the ceiling or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I vividly remember that entrance. I watched that show live. Paid whatever the hell the price was for that. Bought that pay-per-view.
I did too.
So I definitely remember that match. That was a great one. God, sure got the Santina Morella winning the fucking battle royal out of my mouth. But yeah, that was a fantastic match, and like we're saying, it's an all-timer. I won't say it's the best match of all time, but if you're making a Mount Rushmore, that's one of them.
Yeah, for sure, it was something that's going to be living on for in the history of WrestleMania matches, and it will never be forgotten. Roberto, even you were watching wrestling back then. You saw WrestleMania 25. You saw WrestleMania 26. Which of those two matches do you prefer?
Sorry.
Get yourself off mute, mate.
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. All right. I'm torn between the two because although WrestleMania 25 was a great spectacle, and you guys aren't wrong, I enjoyed WrestleMania 26 as a whole better. So I always think more fondly of the Undertaker Shawn match from 26 because A, it was the final match of the night. And although it was predictable, it's kind of like the Ric Flair thing. Like Shawn and Flair stole the show at 24, and you knew
I was there.
Yeah, you knew that's how that match was going to go, and it still was the match that stole the show at 24.
And we're still talking about it.
Yeah, and I mean, am I disagreeing with you guys about 25 and 26? No, I think you're probably right that 25 is best, but my bias opinion, I loved WrestleMania 26. It is one of my favorite WrestleManias in recent history because it didn't have any of that bullshit star stuff. There were good matches on the card. You had, Edge and Orton, I think. And,
Jericho.
Edge and Jericho. Oh God, that match was amazing.
I'm sorry if you can't appreciate Snooki being in a match and Jim Ross versus Michael Cole, you're just not a wrestling purist.
And Mickey Rourke having a boxing match with Chris Jericho.
That was so bad. Why'd I have to sit through that? Fucking hell.
I do have a thing to mention, though. One fact to mention. Did you guys know this? That HBK originally did not want The Undertaker for 26 when it was a retirement match. He wanted Triple H. Originally, Drew McIntyre was supposed to face The Undertaker at 26.
Yeah,
that would have been very, very. Yeah, that would have been
too early for him.
That would have been. Well, I mean, I don't even want to say it would have been too early, but that definitely would have been a time-changing moment, a groundbreaking moment, because he wouldn't. If he faces Taker, he's not getting released. He's not going in the Indies. He'd probably be champion a lot earlier than he was now. Obviously, everything's worked out, but you wouldn't have that gap period if he would have faced Taker.
No.
I feel. I mean, if that was going to be the last one, I mean, the 25 we're speaking of, I feel like that's fitting to go out. Does it give you the final closure, the finality? Does it give the perfection of storytelling chronologically, at least, so that you know going in, like, hey, it's this versus this? No, but I think, I mean, you could make a great story with Shawn and Hunter. I mean, that's a great story. They have obviously how many years of experience.
I feel like those guys, when Shawn came back from his injury, they had all their matches. You know, I'm honestly, I don't really want to see them fight anymore.
No, I understand that. I guess what my perspective I'm saying is, if it would have been that way, I don't think I would have preferred it. But if it would have been that way, I think they could have made it work, and it would have been, look back in positively. Look back positively.
Should have called Marty Jannetty back. Got one more match.
Oh God, no, Jesus Christ.
I just want to quickly say a couple of things before I move on to Roberto. Is that I remember the storylines for the 25 match where you had like Shawn Michaels just coming out in light. You know what I mean? Be wearing a white Undertaker suit. He's like fucking light everywhere. I am the light. You're the darkness. I love that, actually. That was genius. That was genius storytelling. I'm going to be the light if you're going to be the darkness. And the WWE let the darkness win over the born again Christian. Very nice of them.
Yeah, I'm sure you loved it.
So
I wasn't thinking. I've been thinking about it now.
so one of your favorite matches of all time is Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon versus Shawn Michaels and God.
Yeah, God did the job on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I remember that, man.
God did the job. Don't you run away from me, God. I'm not done with you yet.
God,
okay.
Show the spotlight God. Walking down the ramp.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We all have our glad we all got our chances to express our opinions on those matches, because those were some of the best. I want to go back. I didn't enjoy 26 that much, but then again, maybe because I was at the I honestly, because what it is with WrestleMania matches in general is that the final match, I'm done. I'm just waiting for this shit to be over. And even Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, I was waiting for this shit to be over, because you know what? I saw a fantastic match last year, and if you don't repeat it this year, I'm not so fucking bothered. But I saw the better one the previous year, because the previous one is always better than the fucking sequel.
But before we go on, can I just interject, because you brought up a good point of being, I mean, WrestleMania is a fucking 7-hour event, it seems sometimes. Obviously they did it in, they did it in 2 nights this year. Just quickly, we don't have to stay long on the topic, but do y'all think that would be a good idea going forward to do that? Keep in the future, for sure. Like 2 nights, because I enjoyed it. I appreciated it. I, like you said, you can't watch the same thing for 7 hours and be entertained. It is
there's no fucking way. I'm like most of us.
I'm too old for that shit.
Most of us are in our 30s now, and it's just like
40s.
30s and 40s, and it's just like when you're young, you can sit and fucking game or watch wrestling for hours on end. But then as you get older, you're like, I got to get up, I got to move around, I got shit to do. You're not enjoying it
that much. You're waiting for it to finish.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not even as old as y'all are, and I feel that way. So I mean, it's not even a young person thing. It's just a people thing. Like,
it's
you can't be doing that
as time passes.
Yeah, you can't be. Okay, so please continue then.
All right. So the bit which got me laughing a lot was Triple H saying to Randy Orton, "Oh shit, we're fucked."
Yeah, I do remember that. Yes.
They knew it too. They knew they were not. I remember that night there were people like chanting for the fucking camera, and that match they fucked it up by having a stipulation where if Triple H got disqualified, he would lose the title or whatever the fuck.
They did. Yeah, they had that. Yeah.
They should have made.
That.
I mean,
It
this
was
is
a terrible
stupid
stipulation.
because you have a couple of guys beating the fuck out of each other, destroying, hitting each other's spouses and stuff. Just make it a hardcore match. That's the only way you
was
can
all they
keep.
had to do. Make it like a street
Yeah.
fight. It would have been passable. It would have been like, okay, it's not going to wow the crowd crazy, but it's going to send them home going, that kicked ass, and they didn't do that.
All right, we're now on to the Triple H matches, and for me, both of these matches are not as memorable as Shawn Michaels' matches, but when it came to 27 and 28. I found the second match, the Hell in a Cell match, to be far more entertaining because it had the stipulations in there. You had Shawn Michaels as referee. There's a lot more fucking things to fucking hit your flesh on. It was a much better match. Than the previous one. What do you guys think? I'll start with you, Roberto. Which do you prefer, 27 or 28 when it came to the Triple H matches?
Neither. I barely watched either of them. I mean, if I had to choose, I think I remember the Hell in a Cell more than the original.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay. At the time, like watching this documentary gives me new context on those matches. But at the time, it just looked like, hey, Triple H wants to be involved in this whole shabil between HBK and I mean, I guess I see where they're like, hey, it's a continuing story now with Shawn gone, and then Shawn comes back as the ref. It was like their end game moment. But at the same time, the time I'm like, this is just Triple H riding on the coattails of HBK Taker for the past 2 years, and then and it was honest, in my opinion, it was a waste of 2 years. Well, it was a waste of
at least.
I don't want to say 3 years. I don't want to say 3 years but it was. There were spots there for younger guys to fight Taker and to get over. The fact of the matter is, if you get beaten by Taker at WrestleMania, that's expected. The fact that you fought the Undertaker and put on a good match, that is your moment. Like Randy Orton. To this day, like you're talking about the Mount Rushmore WrestleMania matches. To this day, Randy Orton and Undertaker at WrestleMania 21 is by far one of my favorite WrestleMania matches with the Undertaker. Was it a perfect match? No. But is it one of the greatest and most memorable? Because that was the first time. 1 second, DH.
Okay.
That was one of the first moments that I realized, oh shit, they could put Orton over. And he was young at the time. He was young. Up and coming, and it would be a perfect place to put someone like that over. Now, did I know that how Orton was going to turn out to be a total dick? No, but I was very happy that I was actually legitimately thinking they were going to put Orton over, and this is going to be the way they're going to put him over. Go ahead, DH.
I would say regarding that match and that WrestleMania as a whole, criminally underrated. Like, go watch WrestleMania 21. That WrestleMania, oh my god.
WrestleMania in Hollywood. It was a great WrestleMania, dude.
It was
a great WrestleMania.
Taker and Orton criminally underrated, and at the time it was like, holy shit, Randy Orton. If the Undertaker is going to go out, this is the way to go out. You go out against a young up and coming dude, and they put so much faith in Randy Orton, and he had a great feud with Undertaker that year. I mean, Randy Orton does not get enough credit for his feud with the Undertaker.
Unfortunately, he hasn't killed enough legends, and that's why he became the Viper.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I feel like they should have called him not the Legend Killer, but like the Legend Cutter. Or Legend
something or other.
Yeah,
Legend Killer sounds better if you kill legends, but he never. So then it was the stupidest title ever.
We're more saying about killing their career, but he really didn't kill the career of
Legend Crippler.
Legend Crippler, there you go.
Well, but you already had the Crippler with Chris Benoit, and
but you need to whitewash that anyway because he killed his.
Well, they kind of did with the finishing move because other people do the Crippler crossface like Daniel Bryan.
That's true. That's true. So that would have been a conflict, yeah.
Okay. Getting back to the topic of where
let's get back to these matches because we're all like jumping all over the place. So Roberto, you don't give a fuck about those matches. I don't blame you, to tell you the truth, because in my opinion, I agree. I mean, Taker's not a spring chicken even back then, and you're wasting 4 years on two guys. Not good, in my opinion. 25 should have been it with Shawn Michaels, and 20, you could have done Triple H stuff, and that's it, and then move it on to some other people. But I agree with you, Jericho. What do you want to say about the Triple H matches? Which one do you prefer?
Just to quickly on your point, I just want to say that I don't necessarily think it's a waste. I mean, is it the best use? Is it the best way to get talent over? No, but I mean, these are good matches, guys. These aren't shitters. These are good matches. I don't think that it's a waste. But
it's old man circle jerk, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, it is. But I mean, what was the NWO? I mean, other than getting obviously Hall and Nash over. I mean, at a point, I mean, WCW was an old man circle jerk, and that got over pretty damn good for 82 weeks or whatever it was. Anyway,
kayfabe was in then, by the way, it's a whole different ball game now.
Okay,
people are much more.
Fair enough. Getting back on track, I had the opportunity, to be there for 27. So obviously, I'm going to be biased. There was I forget which part of it was. It had to have been. It had to have been one of the points where Triple H either gave him a pile driver on a chair or like a pedigree in a chair, something like that. But I really thought that he was going to win. And I mean, I can just tell you the crowd was electric. It was a great match, saved the show. I mean, other than the Edge match, which was decent, and in retrospect, obviously knowing that that's his last match, it gives it a lot of value knowing that. But I mean, as a whole, the day of that match saved that show 100% without question. And it was I mean, great match. It was a really good match considering the final match of the card getting. I mean, basically having your main event of WrestleMania being a promo for WrestleMania 28, which whatever. But yeah, that was a great match. 28, I don't necessarily like. 28, I don't necessarily remember as much with the Hell in a Cell. I
remember the ending more than the match.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember the ending. I definitely remember the chin music to the pedigree to the kick out. I remember that. I remember them basically having a fucking curtain call. Yeah, fucking having a goddamn.
Last of it. With the last free.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm biased. I went to one of them, so I'm obviously gonna like the one and remember the one that I went to more than the other. But I mean, was it the best use of that slot? No. Were they good matches? Yes. Were they memorable matches? Yes. So, in my opinion, it was good.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Sorry, I'll get to you, Jose. I just want to quickly say that Bobby Black is having some technical issues, so he will be back shortly. Okay. Jose, continue.
Okay. All right. Well, from a story perspective, I liked it for what it was. Do I agree that they could have used younger guys to get over? Yeah, they could have. But for what they did with it, I think 27 was more of like a brutal match because Taker got his ass beat. And they made it to where The Undertaker won that match, but here's the difference. Triple H actually got up and walked the fuck out. And Taker couldn't do that. And they made you think, oh shit, Triple H might have been the one to end The Undertaker's career with the way that they were going with it.
And with those chair shots on the back.
Yeah, because he beat the Undertaker.
And he left welts on his back.
Oh, God, he did. I remember watching that live.
He just beat and then not to mention, Taker did the last headshot that I think we will ever see, and that's something you'll never see again in WWE is a chair shot to the head, which for all intents and purposes, thank God we won't.
Which was that 27 or 28 or
27?
Okay.
Nailed the Undertaker right in the dome.
I kind of remembered it, but I haven't. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen the match. I think I only remember what I matched from when I saw it 7 years ago or whenever it was.
Yeah. And 28, it was great for what it was. What they could do with Shawn. Shawn was really underrated as a referee. I think he played his role perfectly. Having that mental breakdown, like his psyche was being fucked with. Because it was like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. I don't know. Do I help my best friend win this match, or do I call it right down the middle? The super kick pedigree combo is what we're all going to remember. and then Taker, taking the sledgehammer from Triple H, and then him tombstoning Triple H straight to hell. And then that right there should have been it for The Undertaker, in my opinion. 20-0, that's where you go out. That was time. If they didn't end the streak, that would have been the time to see The Undertaker go. That was
well, I'm a bit old school in some things, Jose. And as much as I wouldn't, it's good for him to have his WrestleMania streak intact. When you leave the business, you leave on your back. You go out on your back. And if it's not WrestleMania, it could be a Raw, SmackDown, another pay-per-view. If you want to keep that intact,
go out.
But anyway, the streak is over anyway, which was amazing. But let's not talk about that. Hopefully they'll bring that up in another episode because they never really brought it up in this episode.
Nope.
So now we are going on a time jump because that trip down memory lane, in my opinion, even though it was nice, it wasn't for as far as I was concerned, it wasn't what this documentary needed. Yeah, because you look at the first two episodes and then you see some of the stuff in this episode, and it's like, wow, we're getting all nostalgic here. This is not what I want. But we now get back to the more current days and the more current times, and we have an 8-9 year time jump because Triple H and Undertaker are going at it one more time. And this is the weird thing because they're having a weird sort of storyline where these feuds and stuff are happening on foreign pay-per-views. So Super Showdown, which is an Australian show they're having, Undertaker and Triple H are going to have a fight. And Undertaker's going to have Kane in his corner and Triple H is going to have HBK in his corner. And these guys have a match. I never really saw this match, so I don't know how to rate it all. But it's really
I wouldn't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen it, Jericho. Have you seen that match?
I would love. I was a Shawn Michaels fan before I was a Jericho fan. I would love to see that match, but I don't think I ever want to. I mean, I heard it wasn't that great.
No. The Super Showdown in Australia between Triple H and Undertaker.
Oh, between H and Undertaker. No, I didn't see that one either. I wasn't really.
I didn't see it either, but I guess no one would never talk bad about it. I guess it was acceptable.
And then here's the thing. WWE with this fucking last time ever bullshit.
Stop. Oh, they lie every time. They lie every fucking time.
Stop that. Like, come on, man. Rock versus Cena. Oh, this is
the WWE.
Once in a lifetime, as long as you died in between the year before. Like,
WWE will flog a dead horse until the horse is fucking reincarnated, and then they'll fucking kill it and flog it again, and that's what they do. So we have this match, which was actually a match that set up another match because
team match, player.
Because
you guys will have a tag team match. All you needed was
because we have the double cross at the end.
He was in it this episode.
We have the double cross at the end after the match is over between Triple H and Undertaker, and in a way, they don't. No one will ever look at them as heels, but they did the heel thing. The Brothers of Destruction, and they beat the fuck out of DX, and then they walk out. Hands raised. Even though Undertaker lost that match, they walk out
like
in a sense that they won the war, if not the battle, or the war of that night.
He's going to walk out like that for the rest of his fucking career. Yep. I don't care if he wins, he loses if it's a count out. He's going to walk out with his hand up in the air.
So before we jump onto Crown Jewel, there's a couple of things I want to talk about, mainly focusing on Kane now. So we have the Brothers of Destruction now. There was a time in the 80s and 90s where tag teams actually had names. You had the Rockers, you had the Killer Bees, you had Demolition. You actually had proper names. Undertaker is not only a singles wrestler, he is part of a tag team. Him and his brother Kane are former tag team champions. They've been a tag team for a very, very long time. What do you guys think of the Brothers of Destruction as a tag team? I'll start off with you, Jose.
As a tag team, I thought that, for what they could do, they got their shit in. They did what they could do. They had kick-ass matches. The thing I remember is...
Don't go into Crown Jewel. Don't mention Crown Jewel yet. We'll get to that, yeah?
No, the thing I remember about The Undertaker and Kane is, like, when they beat the fuck out of Kaientai and The Undertaker was teaching Kane how to do the last ride. Like, that will always be my favorite Brothers of Destruction moment, is seeing them beat the fuck out of Kaientai. which was real cool. But then they got to feud with guys like, Chronic, DDP, Chris Canyon. Who else did they feud with during that time as a tag team? I know Mr. Kennedy and MVP.
Triple H and Steve Austin.
Yeah, Triple H and Austin, the 2-man power.
And they had that massive match where all the titles were on the line.
Yep. And then Austin and Triple H won the tag titles for a brief minute before Triple H tore squad for the first time. I thought that The Undertaker and Kane actually were a really underrated tag team. Granted, they did everything they could do, but it didn't feel like there were two.
No, don't call them Undertaker and Kane. We don't say Rocky. We don't say Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. They are the Brothers of Destruction. Their tag team has an actual name, and when your tag team has an actual name, you are a tag team. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to get at here.
Yep.
I'm going to jump. I'll get to you last, Jericho. Roberto, you're back. What do you think of without mentioning Crown Jewel, what do you think of the Brothers of Destruction?
Well, I think that they are the crown jewel of tag team.
Player.
I mean, I've always been a fan of good tag teams, and they're kind of like DX, where it's like you don't know when they're going to, you don't know when this tag team's going to show up again. They've kind of transcended the tag team titles, but they're a good tag team. I honestly feel like I would always enjoy a match of the Brothers of Destruction versus whomever, it's kind of like the Rock and Sock Connection. Like, every now and then that tag team would get together, but it's not like they're like actively pursuing the tag titles. They would get together to handle something or to do something, and then they would, go their separate ways. Which a lot of tag teams, I'm not okay with that, but with the Brothers of Destruction, it made sense.
Yeah,
it's weird in a way. It's weird in a way because sometimes you have tag teams like Edge and Christian and the Hardys, who were tag teams first, split up, but they can still get back together again for certain things. But these guys were singles first, then became an actual established tag team with a fucking name. You know what I mean? As the Brothers of Destruction, and they can always get back together again. But obviously, it's a great rub for Kane. I'm going to get onto Glenn Jacobs in a minute, but Jericho, what do you think of the Brothers of Destruction?
I mean, to be quite fair, they're a bit before my time. I mean, I started watching end of 2006, beginning of 2007, so it's a bit before. But I mean, like Cheeto was saying, they're a bit one of those. They're almost like a Jericho. That they go in for a little bit, they're out for a little bit, doing their single stuff. It was very sporadic. What they did was good. I really can't comment on a lot of it, but I mean, obviously, I know. To be fair, most experience I would have with Brothers of Destruction is playing with them in like SmackDown versus Raw or something. But obviously, I mean, yeah, great tag team, and it shows the acumen of the wrestlers themselves to be able to go from that singles environment to that tag team environment, and being able to put on a good match considering the differences in psychology and performance within those two styles.
I agree. Well said, Jericho. I totally agree. So this is the great thing about The Undertaker, because of Undertaker, he spawned Kane. Without The Undertaker, we would never have got Kane. This person, he would never existed. Glenn Jacobs is a lucky fucker because he failed. No, sorry, I don't want to take that. I want to take that back. His previous incarnations of characters. Yeah, I mean, they made Isaac Yankoman, which was a terrible gimmick. Yeah, and then obviously he was fake Diesel, which was just ridiculous. I mean, this is where WWE treats its fans like dickheads. Yep. You know what I mean? And it was the stupidest thing they ever did. But then he got a chance to be born again for the third time as Kane. And I'll be honest with you, I remember this when I was really young because I genuinely thought that was Undertaker in that outfit, and it was apparently back in the day before they got Glenn Jacobs in. It was the Undertaker in the Kane outfit, and then finally them two were together, and then you realize, shit, there was two of them. And I saw. Sorry for going on. I saw an interview with Glenn Jacobs on this podcast, and he was talking about how great the Undertaker was for his career. And how they looked alike, which worked well. The feuds they had, being the Brothers of Destruction. I mean, we got because of Undertaker, we also got Kane. So let's briefly talk about Kane. What do you guys think of him? I'll start with you, Cousin Cheeto. And what do you think of him being involved in all of this? Is he's always going to be linked to the Undertaker for the rest of his career. He's got that. He's become a lifer. And he's a fucking mayor. Movie star. Roberto, what do you think of Kane?
I mean, I've always liked Kane. Kane was always I don't want to say substitute. He was always.
Yeah, he was.
No, he wasn't. No. I don't want to call him the substitute. He was always the
first man out.
Undertaker.
Huh?
He's a substitute.
He's not a substitute. He became his own thing.
I would call him like the sixth man or like the first man out or something. Like he's just that tier below. He's great, but I mean he's not all time. He's just that tier below the likes of Michaels, H, Undertaker.
Well, he's
Cena.
definitely Hall of Fame. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Why the hell not?
Yeah, why wouldn't you put Kane in there?
Look, you put Drew Carey in there. You gotta put Kane in there.
You put Drew Carey.
Look,
oh man.
Kane.
They might as well just put Jay Leto for his match in WCW. I mean, he deserves it more than fucking Carey.
No, don't give them ideas.
I mean, Pete Rose, isn't Pete Rose in there? And I mean,
yeah, I think he is. I think Pete Rose is.
All right. Let's not go too far on the tangent here. We'll stick back to Kane. And you got anything more to say about him, Roberto?
Yeah, he's great. I think he's a decent big man wrestler. I mean, anyone they really put him with. I mean, they put him with Daniel Bryan, and he does great. They put him with X-Pac.
Rob Van Dam.
Huh?
You said Rob Van Dam.
That's when he took off the mask, finally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Kane's just a good worker. He bounces off people well. I mean, I think he does need to be in a stable or a tag team in order to excel. But I mean, on his own, I mean, he does okay too. I mean, he's just kind of all around. He's not limited by the Undertaker gimmick so much. So,
I guess, but this was, like I said, probably the best thing to ever happen to Glenn Jacobs was being the Undertaker's brother, because it gave him significance for the rest of his career in the WWE, to be associated with that man, to always be his fucking brother. Jericho. Kane.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, he's great. What's it called? I mean, they say, give 10% to the church. Glenn Jacobs should be given 10% to Mark Calloway. Every fucking check that he gets. I mean, I'm not kidding. That man is the mayor of the county which holds Knoxville, which is the second most populous city in the state of Tennessee. Don't tell me that he's going to be the mayor of fucking Knox County without being Kane. I mean, that's incredible. And it's not like he's in the match for himself. Obviously, Kane's a great wrestler, but as we've said, this man was given a fucking silver platter of shit to deal with through gimmicks. I mean, fake Diesel and Isaac Yankem DDS. My God. My God. But just as a personal effect to Kane, growing up, as a kid, like a 10 to 13, that age, you're interested in the wrestling and stuff like that, and him being fucking the fire and the burn alive and all the shit coming out, and especially, wait, I'm sorry.
Did he scare you? Were you?
No, scared? He didn't scare me. No, I'm saying it like with that gimmick, it brings an interest. Yeah, like it brings an extra interest. Like, for example, like with YouTube coming around, like just trying to search for like an Inferno match or something, like, because like that's just ridiculous. Like these two grown men are gonna fight in a literal ring of fire. Like, okay, yeah, that'll you'll sell a 12
Inferno matches. It's stupid.
Well, no, it's stupid now, but I'm saying as a kid,
yeah,
you're thinking with that wide-eyed and bushy-tailed perspective, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Zan, he's like half your age, man. Come on.
Man, I just remember MVP getting his ass burnt. That's what
I'm saying. Like looking at a YouTube, Kane holding MVP to the fucking fire, his whole back of his jumpsuit, whatever, and him having to roll around and then extinguishing him and whatnot. And I mean that's just ridiculous.
So the moral of the story is, if you don't want to be in an Inferno match, make sure you're not wearing an outfit. Roman Reigns, I'm sorry for you. Jose, what do you got to say about Kane?
Okay, for me, it's a sentimental thing, because I would say The Undertaker and Kane is the best production that the WWE has ever done. They went all out when they brought Kane in. It was epic. The build up. Paul Bearer coming out being like, Kane is alive, Undertaker. You thought you killed your brother, but he's coming to exact revenge on you. And the way they brought him in, coming out, ripping the door off the Hell in a Cell, tombstoning the Undertaker, and then, like Kane.
He was Frankenstein. It was Frankenstein, man. Jesus. Yeah.
He just fucks everybody up. He fucked up Mick Foley. He fucked up Too Cold Scorpio. Fucked up the Headbanger.
Scorpio.
DOA. Yeah. You name it. He fucked everybody up. And then the Undertaker's like, all right, motherfucker, you burned me in a casket, and now I'm about to exact revenge on your ass. And Undertaker versus Kane at WrestleMania 14 is easily one of the most underrated matches.
Yeah, I agree. One of the best big man matches you'll see, that and Batista and Kane. And Undertaker, one of the best big man matches you'll see.
Yeah. 23 is underrated.
Yeah. And then the Inferno match, as a kid, because I was a kid then, it was exciting at the time. And then you go back and you watch the stuff now, you're like, man, holy shit, the stuff they were able to get away with during that time in the late 90s. But Kane has always been one of those dudes. He's a company guy. He's one of those guys that can make
He's a cornerstone now, isn't he? He's cornerstone of the company.
Yeah. Wasn't he in charge of HR at some point?
In charge of?
Wasn't he like the corporate HR guy or something like that on the show?
Yeah, at one point he was.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But all of this Kane and stuff, it could have been dropped if Kane and Taker were not tight because
to think if that had failed, what would have happened? Like had this match, had the build up and everything not worked out, what would have been? Man.
No, but Kane, Glenn Jacobs and Mark Calloway have a real life bond as well. I mean, Taker said himself, I could trust this guy with my wallet. I mean, that's pretty much it all, And
to agree with Jose's point, that's probably the best well-fleshed storyline. I mean, if we're not talking Austin McMahon, I mean, if you exclude that, if you exclude that, that's the best true story. I mean, obviously that's an angle more, the Austin McMahon thing. But I mean, if you're talking about true storytelling throughout an entire career, though that pairing, that's the example that you're going to use. Yeah, absolutely,
for sure.
And I think we also have to talk. I think we also have to talk about DX's role in this before you move forward. Seeing D-Generation X, if you would have told me, like in 2002, 2003, that these four are going to face off in a tag team match, player, it would have been during that time one of the best matches that I think we would have ever seen. If you were talking like 2002 to 2006, it would have been epic. But seeing DX in 2018, when I saw this at the time, I'm like, that's DX in name only. I don't see them as D-Generation X, Shawn Michaels, Triple H saying "fuck you" to authority.
A couple of clowny dads trying to have fun with their kids.
No, it's like when it's like when the band splits up and the solo artist does all the hits with the fucking backup band, and it's like, no, this ain't. I mean, do you want to go see if you have the opportunity? If you want to relive the times, are you going to see it? Yeah, but is that the true experience? No, hell no.
Yeah, it felt like Shawn Michaels and Triple H just using the DX name, if that makes sense.
Have you guys seen the movie Grown Ups with Adam Sandler?
I think I've seen it once.
Yeah, that's DX. I mean, now it's just
oh my god.
It's basically a couple of old men, really old, trying to be young. And honestly,
don't be too harsh now. They're not much older than you.
I know, and I don't.
I love the movie Grown Up.
I don't fucking do cross chops and shit, man, and fucking carry glow sticks and shit. I'm not saying it isn't, but that's DX. Yeah. So let's now jump ahead to the part, because honestly, I really wanted this documentary to be focusing more on things like this, and that's Crown Jewel. And we got to it, but in my opinion, we didn't get much. I thought we got as much as the fucking trailer showed us, but nevertheless, this is where it's funny, because I remember watching this match and I thought to myself, Taker looked really out of shape, and it's funny because earlier he had fought John Cena, he was in great shape, but I think he was putting the weight back on regardless of the training. He started getting a bit heavier again. And this match on paper seemed like a no-brainer. You got Shawn Michaels, even though he's coming out of retirement, he's still one of the best of all time. You got Triple H. I mean, he knows all these wrestlers really well. Undertaker, he's used to wrestling now and again. And you've got Kane. But all four of these guys were retired or part-timers, proper part-timers. But regardless of their experience, we had a combined age of fucking over 200 years old in this match. And it was a fucking disaster. You know, this match as a fan, you felt embarrassed and you felt upset because you saw a whole bunch of guys who've had great matches their entire careers, and this could be like, this was Shawn Michaels' last match, and it was a fucking joke. It was a fucking joke, man, of a fucking match, wasn't it? You had Kane's. Sorry, I'll get to you, Jose. We had Kane's mask come off. We had Triple H ripping his pec. What do you guys think of this match? I know Jose is bursting. You're bursting. So let me get to you, man. What do you want to say about this match?
This was the saddest thing I think I've ever seen. That no shit, like it was the most heartbreaking thing I think I've ever saw as a wrestling fan, because all four of these dudes back in the day could put on kick-ass matches, you know, even as, you know, soon as like 8 years ago, and then Kane's mask coming off, and then the fucking pedigree at the very end of it. I'm like, Kane could barely fucking get up for the pedigree. I was like, oh, thank God. I want this to be over. That was my first thought when I saw that. I was like, oh, I can't wait for them to get past this.
This is the thing. You know, nowadays, Triple H, when he's in DX, he's going to rip a fucking something off the bone. That's what he does.
He's been doing that the entire time I've been watching wrestling.
Yeah.
Right when I started wrestling was when what was it, at Armageddon, when he tore his quad? Yeah, that was the first introduction I got to Triple H, was him on a fucking hospital bed.
Yep. Yeah. Like, it's just sad to see four guys that used to be regarded as like the GOATs, or however you want to rank them, and now you just see them and you just go,
oh yeah, I mean,
man, these guys are just
all the time.
Former selves. It's time for them to hang it up. It's time for y'all to go. But
yeah,
why keep going?
I mean, we've got four great single wrestlers. We've got two great tag teams, Brother Destruction, DX. This should work, but it didn't.
It did not. I mean,
it did not work at all.
I think it
made though. Like, Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think of the match, Jericho?
I didn't even watch it. I mean, when it happened. I mean, obviously. So I mean, I don't know from personal experience, but from watching the documentary, I mean, it was pretty well exemplified by Michaels, you know, walking to the back of, like, after Gorilla, and he just says missed it by about that much, and that's how much I missed it by. Yeah.
I give Shawn Michaels a lot of credit because he gives no fucks. He's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, people know that match is not going to define his career. You know,
he knows that. He knows that. And that's
go ahead.
Because that was the point that I was going to make, is you can tell from the facial expressions of this match as they have, you know, doubles over laughter, can't even contain himself. No, but I mean, yeah, you could tell in this match the facial expressions of the people that they knew that this was not them. They were not at their prime. They should not be here. The only reason that they are here is because of dirty money. And I mean, there's really nothing else. I would have rather seen.
Was killed.
I would have rather seen Ted DiBiase come out and do some stupid ass promo and just, you know, I mean, if you're gonna blow the dollar, at least play the part. You know, it just
man, Ted DiBiase would have been worshipping his ass. He would have been a face. Yeah, you see where he treats Virgil, this black guy. Yeah, they would have been loving him. Yeah, Ted DiBiase.
Do like 10 push-ups right now or whatever the fuck. That would have saved this. I would have rather seen that versus like this craziness.
Well, but the reason being is because those guys, like in Saudi Arabia, are still living in the fucking Attitude Era. So they finally get four guys from the Attitude Era.
20 years later.
Yeah, like 20 years past their prime and shit. You know, but this is the funny thing, because I remember some of the things I remember about this match was just seeing Undertaker and Kane lying down, and you've got these huge guts.
Yeah, their guts are hanging out.
Just up and down, these huge fucking bellies. You know what I mean? Those are the things. That's what I remember. And someone like for Undertaker, it's going to be really hard for him to constantly keep the weight off, especially if he's not wrestling regularly. He might be wrestling more than he's wrestled in previous years, but he's still not wrestling regularly, which is unfortunate. He did play some cards and stuff like that. We got to see. Did you see the match as well? But I watched Crown Jewel because obviously the time zone works so much better for me because it's 5 p.m. in the UK when it kicks off, which is absolutely fucking perfect. Did you watch Crown Jewel? Did you see that match on YouTube or anything, Roberto?
Nope, didn't see any of it. Didn't care for it. The match that the clips that I saw of the match looked like a hot joke. And Shawn Michaels, man, he just should have stayed gone. He just, and I mean, look, now that he shaved his hair, dude, his eye is like staring.
Has he always been cross-eyed?
He's been cross-eyed for a while, but you don't notice it as much. Now that he doesn't have any hair, you notice it even more.
Oh. I have no problem with Shawn. By the way, a lot of people made a big deal about Shawn Michaels losing his hair. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? If anything, Bret Hart needs to cut his fucking hair. He looks like a fucking witch. But now he's all grey and stuff. So I give Shawn Michaels credit. He's not trying to pretend that he's something he's not. So, and having all that hair at his age is stupid anyway. I used to have long hair.
Shawn basically said, "Yo, this is a payday for me. Like, now I get to go back to being a civilian." And that's pretty much what he said, I think, after this match is over. He was like, "I was here for the paycheck." And he knew it too.
Everybody knows that. I mean, if you don't know that, I'm sorry. You're just not looking for it. You're just
But also, like Shawn Michaels also mentioned that retiring wrestling is not retiring like it is in other sports, because wrestling is entertainment. We're not talking competitive sports here. And that's why he did it, because he just looked at it differently. It's not like he's coming back into real wrestling; he's coming back into sports entertainment, and that was the difference.
Here's the thing, too.
And I mean, that's why he's basically when wrestlers say they're retiring from competitive, active duty. I mean, with Flair, it's like, you knew he was gonna eventually come back for something. But it's like, I mean, he only came back to referee. He came back as a valet. I mean, matches were few and far between, and that's kind of where you're at.
Yeah, just for an example, I mean, hell, I watched a match on Saturday that was Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake literally managing Cody Rhodes and.
Yeah, I saw that AEW.
And
it's like when you really stop to think about it, retirement. The word retirement in wrestling doesn't exist, because they always come back to do something, whether it's referee
every time.
Cut a promo, whatever the case may be. Nobody ever truly retires, like goes away completely.
Nope.
It never happens. I can't even think on one hand how many wrestlers have retired from the business and never came back. Maybe Tito Santana might have been one of those dudes, but I can't even count who
Tatanka?
retired. Tatanka, maybe, yeah.
Was he retired when he came back and stuff? I'm not 100%
sure.
But
I would say, I mean, after TNA, after the shit with TNA, Savage was pretty out of it. I mean, Savage really didn't do anything.
Yeah, I think Savage is probably one of the dudes that I could really think of that retired from wrestling, because nobody ever really truly does. They always
there's just too many easy up. I mean, and I won't say easy, because I mean you're capitalizing on your life.
Yeah.
But I mean, I mean, and especially nowadays, whether it be podcasts or conventions, or you could be Jim Cornette, you could sell fucking T-shirts and memorabilia, you could sign it. I mean, you could write a book. There's so many ventures and platforms and opportunities to make money through a career that you've already had, that it would be, like you said, it would be senseless, or you'd have to be very committed to not doing it. You'd have to have strong reasoning for it.
Yeah, you'd have to be completely done with the wrestling business to be retired. But people don't retire; they always find a way to stay in wrestling somehow.
Yes, they do.
I think Taker's going to be that guy. I don't ever see Taker ever really going away, ever.
If he ends up starting to look like McMahon, I mean, it'll be sad. At the end of the day,
and I will say that I don't. Sorry.
Go on.
I was just sorry. I was just I feel bad for interrupting, but yeah, I don't want to see people at that age. Or if I mean, maybe I can see him like Hall of Fame or something, but please don't be a part of the storyline or don't be an on-screen character when you're literally looking like fucking. I mean, Vince McMahon looks like a fucking bag of bones. He looks so bad, and I understand with his money and the position that he's in, you're gonna have to make public appearances. I understand that. But he doesn't have to insert himself into the storyline. He doesn't have to make public appearances unnecessarily. This is a great public appearance, this documentary. And you could see that in the second chapter when they ask him, how much does The Undertaker mean to you? And he's like, exactly. He says, I can't tell you that. And so, I mean, like, those public appearances are great, but he is an old man, and he looks the part.
It's tough to see Vince looking old, but we know.
And even Undertaker's face is sunken in. Obviously, he doesn't look terrible. He doesn't look like death.
He has to use the fucking hair dye, doesn't he?
He looks his age. No, he has to use the beanie is what he has to use. He has to use the fucking beanie is what I noticed. You didn't see the guy without something covering his head.
JR had the call of the documentary, and I think we can all agree on this when he said, here's the deal. Father Time is caught up to The Undertaker, and you got to wonder how much is left in him. And that's what really brought it home for me is like, what's left? What more can you do? And now, that's pretty much where episode 3 ends is, Michelle McCool says like, oh, now, here goes the cycle again. The cycle's about to repeat itself. He's not satisfied. So now I got to have, that redemption. I got to have, that match to where I can be satisfied. And I'm going to ask this to the panel. Do y'all think The Undertaker will ever really get there to where he can walk away and say,
I'm a bit worried actually, because we talked about it in the previous episode that I think his last match should be with someone like Drew McIntyre and stuff, and he should obviously go out on his back, and it could be WrestleMania now because the streak has been over for a while, so that's how it can go. But they shouldn't, unfortunately. It's become such a thing, Undertaker's retirement, that it could almost become anticlimactic now. It could be
done it so many times.
Yeah, we're thinking about it, talking about it all the fucking time. His last match, if it is, I don't even think his last match should necessarily be indicated as his last match because there'll be too much. I mean, people are going to watch Undertaker whatever happens.
No,
But if you mention that it's his last match, in a
They're
way,
gonna fuck out of it way too
late.
Hype the fuck out of it, and. I agree at that as well, Jericho. But at the same time, I also worry that it's going to maybe be a hindrance to the match because you almost know that Undertaker's got to lose it to a degree.
I just can't agree. I can't agree. Literally, with one of the. I mean, the first was that the first? No, it was the second. So the first full year of wrestling, I'm watching the Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair storyline. They are retiring the biggest name in the wrestling business for the past 30 years of that. Well, I mean, if you want to say 25, obviously Ed Hardy, all that. But, I mean, the most monumental name up until that point, and they did it near perfectly. They did it absolutely near perfectly, down to the finish of the match in the way that they recorded it. And I don't understand how you can't do the same thing for The Undertaker. Why can't you have a good match, have a story, whether it be, if you want to have it be AJ Styles with the history that he has, have it be AJ Styles. If you want to have it be Reigns again, have it be fucking Reigns, do it all over again. If you want to have it be Rollins, have it be Rollins. Have it whoever you want to be.
McIntyre.
But fucking McIntyre, see, he's so new, so fresh.
There has to be finality. That's the word that sticks.
And I don't care if it's a shitter. I don't care if it's a bad match. Finish the match, have the ending, do all the cinematics that you want, give them the day after, it could be the day after WrestleMania, it could be the week after WrestleMania, whatever you want to do, have a tribute show, and have him become a producer, or if he's going to take a couple of years off, because he's been doing this for 35 years, have him take a couple of years off. But
keep him as the badass.
Oh, of course, keep him as a badass, but the man has to finish his wrestling career.
Yeah, there has to be finality when it comes to The Undertaker, but what's it going to take to get him there? That's the thing we've all been wondering.
Well, as I said earlier,
it's going to be. Yeah.
I was going to say the Drew McIntyre match for me would be great because he has endorsed Drew McIntyre in the past. It does work in that sense. Drew McIntyre. There is a story there. If you want to make his retirement, but you know what? He has to fucking retire. No more
Yes.
bringing him back because the ratings are down. He is done. He's done his business. It's up to fucking Vince or whoever to
No.
fucking find to create the new blood after that. But if
And not to
whatever
make
match
this-
whatever match
not-
he has, it has to be the final fucking match. Whatever happens,
And
that's
not to
really
make
what
this
matters.
not to make this a morbid fucking thing. I'll let Bobby go on, but I apologize for interjecting. I feel bad. But here's the thing people got to realize. In 20 years, there's not going to be a nostalgia thing because most of the guys we know now are fucking old. And this is the thing about WWE. Stop that. Knock it off with bringing back these guys so many times. Like, okay, with Hulk Hogan, thank you for your contributions. There's the door. Bret Hart, thank you for your contributions. There's the door. Undertaker, same goes for you. Shawn, same goes for you. The only one that I would keep around because it's going to be his is Triple H. That's it. But as far as all these other guys, let them go. You cannot rely on the well anymore. You've been there, done that. Let's move forward. That's my view.
They love going to that well. I mean, Undertaker and Kane, after their match, one of the things I looked at was you saw the lights flashing and stuff. Is they look like a couple of 70s rock stars. I mean, they look so old. I mean, you know what? Undertaker, get rid of the long hair. It doesn't work. I mean, keep it short. You look just better. I mean, he looks all over the place. He just, it's all it's all good to be respected, but don't look like old has-beens. Because when I watched that match in the Crown Jewel match, I saw old men. I didn't see legends. I saw old fucking men. So I want to start wrapping things up now, but regarding this episode, for me, this was the worst episode of the 3 episodes we've seen so far. This episode didn't really bring anything new to the table. If anything, it just took us on a trip down memory lane. It was definitely a filler episode, if you could have that in a documentary. We didn't learn new. I wanted to find out more on Crown Jewel. Obviously, we don't have to go through the politics of everything, because it's all about Undertaker. But we needed to know a little bit more on his most recent journey after 18, instead of going back into the past. Stuff, how he was performing in Crown Jewel, how he was performing in the house shows, more of that, more of his interactions with other wrestlers, how he was feeling, then going straight into Crown Jewel. Sorry, I meant Greatest Royal Rumble with Rusev. I apologize. And then going obviously straight into Crown Jewel. We needed that, but they filled it with a lot of shit. Overall, as we're wrapping things up, what do you think of the overall episode, Jose? I'll start with you first.
It was the saddest episode I think I've seen so far. It made me feel sad for the Undertaker. It made me be like, dude, come on, man. When is it time to say when? And then, not to get too far ahead, but the next episode they're going to be covering the Goldberg debacle.
How much of that is going to be covered, and how much is going to be?
That should be a whole fucking episode. Honestly,
that could be the entire episode.
That should be a whole fucking episode.
You think you could fill a whole?
That was so. Have you seen it?
Did you see it when it happened?
No, I saw it, but I think they're obviously going to cover the fact that he wasn't in WrestleMania, and then they're going to obviously cover the fact that he was having that Goldberg match as well.
If they don't spend at least 15 minutes on that Goldberg match, I'm gonna be pissed off. He was. I mean, you could see it. This is the man, like we've all stated, the most stoic man in wrestling for 30 years, and you could read every thought on that man's face after that match was over.
Yeah, he didn't even Goldberg put his leg up, but he didn't even hook it. But
no,
let's leave that for next week, guys. Let's stick with this. Let's just stick with this episode. I'm not sure if you got anything more to say about this episode, Jose, before I jump to Jericho.
But me, just my feeling overall was I was just sad watching it, because it's like, dude, Father Time called you. You need to pick up the fucking phone, and you need to accept that your time is done. That's my thoughts on the episode. That was my feeling. Time to go.
Jericho?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, this episode was the lowest quality episode. I still liked it because I do, and this is the type of person I am. I want to hear the perspective from the people who were in the match. So I did like getting the perspective going down memory lane. Like, I mean, did I love it? Would I rather have more information and more insight into Mark Calloway? Yes. But this episode was appreciated. It just wasn't up to the standard that the previous ones were. This episode actually really got me thinking that, man, just looking to how great these matches were, and obviously we know in the future to what it's become, and obviously how they showed in the was a crown jewel. But it really made me think that if Taker didn't get concussed at 30, that I think that would have been his last match. Because I think if he wouldn't have got concussed, if he would have been okay, obviously that wouldn't have had to spend 2 weeks in the hospital or whatever. If he would have been able to get, do his whole shebang, be all right, I think that could have been enough for him, because he wanted Brock to take it. He wanted the streak to end, and he knew that it was about time. This was before his hip replacement and all that. So I feel like if there was any time, that would have been the best time to just end it.
Agreed.
Fair enough. Roberto?
I mean, like, regarding the episode, I mean, it was okay. Regarding the time frame in which they covered, this is the time that I fell out with wrestling, because, again, and as I stated earlier, the problem with professional wrestling, and this is a whole topic for a whole nother video, but it is a major factor here, is that you wasted 3 good years of Taker Manias, and you didn't even have any of these young guys come. And then by the time you got to CM Punk fighting Taker, it was too late. Like, you could have had CM Punk fighting Taker years before he did. You could have had, other people fighting Taker instead of Triple H. And that's one of the reasons why I got out of wrestling, is because I got sick of watching my favorites, who were mid-carders because they're talented, not get their shine moment. And I understand that these guys have earned their spot, but it's like a circle jerk with these older guys. It's just like, hey, who you facing at Mania? Hey, who you facing at Mania? Oh, well, I'm facing you. Oh, okay, well, let's do it. And it's like 4 or 5 years of this bullshit, and it's just like, that's why I fell out of wrestling at this point, was just because, I got tired of the ring around the rosy,
Yep, and in 20 years, they're not going to be able to do that.
I just want to quickly say that regarding this episode, as I said earlier, I thought it was a filler episode. The Crown Jewel stuff I did enjoy, and also I really liked listening to Glenn Jacobs, his perspective and how his career had progressed because of his association with Undertaker. Those are the sort of things that are interesting, not just, oh, this match was great, all this. I mean, fucking hell, that you get that in wrestling nostalgia from the WWE in various fucking media platforms. We didn't need it in this. They could have really just given us 10 minutes of all 4 of those matches, but it pretty much took up a third of the fucking episode to maybe over that. Half an episode, maybe. Sorry, Jericho.
I was just saying that, I would agree with that. If they could have done it in 10 minutes, I would have appreciated it better. Leave more time for Crown Jewel.
Give us the documentary, not the fucking nostalgia trip. That's what we're here for, a documentary.
Yep. Yeah, you can do a career retrospective later. Now is the time for the documentary, and
you could always do a career retrospective just as a special by itself, like we've said in the past.
Yeah.
Do that, but for this kind of stuff, it's like, keep it current, keep the nostalgia shit, like maybe 5-10 minutes. Just say, okay, here's what happened at this time, and
just do a quick recap.
And so hence why I like the Kane bit, because that's interesting. That's documentary right there. And stuff like that. And obviously there's the fuck ups of Crown Jewel, which all of us were salivating for anyway. I was really looking forward to hearing it.
Oh yeah, and all of them.
And as Michelle McCall said, this guy wants to go down a constant he's going, he's all circular. It's history repeating itself, and he's not getting any younger. And I do one thing though. I wish we weren't so fixated on it, because we are kind of fixated on his retirement, and it will happen eventually. And when it does, let's celebrate it. Yeah. But I think for now, unless anyone else has got anything else to say, I think we're done.
I think we're good.
His retirement will happen when he's dead. Is basically what's going to happen.
No, that's.
Are we talking about Vince or Undertaker?
Oh, yeah, I was about to say McMahon will die. Undertaker will have the sense.
Undertaker will walk away. Let's hope. That's pretty much the standard.
Let's hope.
He's going to die in the middle of that ring, and you guys know it.
No, I truly go.
It will eventually happen. It could happen in a few years or whatever. But like when it does happen, we'll fucking do a stream about it for sure.
Yes.
But
one thing I will say to Cheeto, you can always take solace in the fact that Miz is 1-0 in the main event of WrestleMania.
Yep.
He said he's just a yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that's
Well, look, Roberto, Jericho, Jose, thank you very much for joining me, and anybody who could be asked to watch us, all 5 of you, thank you very much for watching us. It's been thoroughly enjoyable. We will be back talking about episode 4 next week, and whatever else comes
in
in.
A couple weeks, dude. They're not doing the next episode until like June.
I apologize, my bad. Well, when it does air on American television, we will be reviewing it the following day. I promise you that.
Yep.
So anything else regarding wrestling pops up and we be able to fill our time with a podcast, we will try to do that for you as well as all the nerdy stuff we like to talk about, video games and fucking Marvel and all that shit. If you're on Facebook, look for Nerd Nation on Facebook, look for Fanboy Rage on Facebook. You'll fucking find us on Facebook. Thank you very much for watching and have a nice day.